I've seen this class before. No? How many of you have seen this? Oh, what is it?
Hold on a second.
This one, Yom Kippur in the Holy Temple. You don't remember?
Yeah.
Okay, we have new people. New. What's your name? Okay. Tabra. Deborah. Oh, Deborah. And? I forgot your name. Antonella. No, Antonia. Antonie. Antonie, Deborah. Deborah. And Antonie. Okay. What's your name, brother?
Daniel.
What?
Daniel.
Daniel? Daniel. You know what Daniel means?
Judge of God.
God is my judge.
God is my judge, yeah. Daniel. My judge, El. Okay. So, every time I have a new people with this presentation, so it looks like I'm not going to be able to get rid of it every year, you know. So what we're going to do is, if you have another question or something while we're showing this PowerPoint, feel free to raise your hand and ask your questions. Okay? And Melissa will be translating. Melissa will be translating into Portuguese today. In Russian. Okay. So this is about how they performed the Yom Kippur in the Holy Temple, in the Temple of Jerusalem, in this first century. Okay. So the first one is the high priest bears full responsibility for the service, as opposed to other ceremonies throughout the year. All the sacred tasks performed on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, tasks which bring about atonement for Israel, must be done exclusively by the high priest himself. So, the Bible states a number of times in the book of Leviticus 16, he will make atonement for himself and the people of Israel. So that way, that's why he will need to be prepared and know everything that he's doing. He needs to know about the incense, about all the sacrifices and everything, so he has to go there and practice and learn all about incense and all about the sacrifices according to the Torah. And show to the people how to do it, and they will judge if he's doing it well or not before he performs this ceremony. Why is this so important? It is important because depending on what this guy does in Yom Kippur, did in Yom Kippur, it depends if the Lord will send the first and the later rains. No rain, no crops, no food, not economy. Yeah, and that was an economy based on agricultural economy. So, all the economy, the welfare of Israel wasn't the responsibility of one person. So everybody wants to make sure he knows what he's doing. So he'll do that. Yeah.
That's in sharp contrast to before them was set life or death, blessing and cursing. They went in and they started worshiping the Baals to get a good crop. And they even sacrificed their children, which should have been olive plants around their table. That's in sharp contrast to doing this to get the crop to honor God, and then going to the false gods and then sacrificing their children for a crop, a temporary crop.
Yeah, what happened is the other nations around Israel, they have a lot of rivers, you know. That's the Fertile Crescent, how you call that? The
Fertile Crescent.
And but in Israel, it holds only in rains. The Jordan River doesn't have the ability to provide all the water they need. The places where they plant. And today they have the technology to take water from the Jordan, to take water from air. Israel is taking water from air.
Wow. Drip irrigation.
Huh?
Drip irrigation.
Not only that, they have a mechanism to take the water in the air, and turn it into water, you know. And also they're taking water from the Galilee. So the years when the Galilee is dry is critical. Okay? Every green area that you have in Israel has a drop of water. So when they see all of the bushes and everything, they will show you, look at that green, look at that green. They're very excited. So they don't know the amount of green that we have here, because it's a privilege to have all of that green, you know. But Israel made the desert flourish. So the priest, he needs to know what he's doing. Just in case something happens to him, they choose another priest to replace him just in case. So this guy will be in the bench, ready. If something happened with the high priest, they will say, okay, warm up. The other ones start warm up. So the other will be there, so just in case something happens to the priest. Now, some people say, well, because they tie the priest with a cord. Have you heard about that? There is not such a thing like that. There's not in the Torah, not in the Talmud. I don't know where the people took that from. That's false. Could you imagine if they tie the priest and the priest dies right there in the Holy of Holies, and they start pulling the priest and take the lamp down, and all of this start burning everything? There will be a disaster. So there is not such a thing like that.
Oh. So you have no idea where that comes from, that tradition, or whatever it is?
From internet.
How do they get him out?
Huh?
How do they get him out if he died?
They will have to get in and take him out.
They had a
Go
rope.
inside?
They had a rope.
No.
They do?
I don't know who come up with
Yeah,
that
so-
teaching.
Yeah, everybody, we were all.
That's not in the...
That's how he had it. He tied a rope, and then they would pull the rope.
No.
Didn't they have bells on the bottom of the ropes?
Yeah. In his garments. He has bells and pomegranates.
Did the
No.
bells make noise?
Decorated pomegranates.
Which they found one of the.
But the thing with the rope
Make noise?
is a lie. It's not anywhere. I don't know where the people took that from. You know that he will go with a rope. You'll see how difficult it will be with a rope to go there when you go there. So don't believe that. It's not in the Bible. Everything the priest does in Yom Kippur is in Leviticus 16. Period. And we have how they perform the service in the temple is in the Mishnah and in the Talmud. Okay. So they choose this guy. If something happens, this guy will be the responsible to take the priest out. Get in and take the priest out. Of course, he's a priest. Okay, this one needs to be a priest. So they'll present him. There's explaining to him, hey, something happens to you, here's gonna be your replacement. Okay, so the priest is there, like, okay, whatever. No, he's not saying that. So one night, the priest will have intense study of the Torah. one night before Yom Kippur service. Why?
I'm not saying.
Because of night pollution. Dreams or something that may contaminate him if he goes to sleep.
So he doesn't go to sleep at all.
Like me, I didn't sleep last night. So he doesn't go to sleep. He'll be studying Torah with all of his friends and everything. Oh, that's not the one. This one. He'll spend the whole night studying Torah. So they prevent him for two reasons. First, pollution, and second, they just want to make sure they go through a whole service and he knows everything by memory.
When did they do that?
Huh?
When did they do that?
The night before the service. Like it would be last night. And in the same night, he will go to get to be familiar with the animals. So right there you have all the animals for the sacrifice. Those are the animals described in Leviticus. So he will get there, be familiar with the animals and everything. The Mishnah says that the animals will be so familiar with the priest because they raise those animals. So that he just go there and check, okay, we have everything here. You have the 7 sheep, the two bulls, the 2 rams, and all of that. So okay, the 2 goats, we are good. And the Mishnah says that he was too familiar with the animals that they don't have to force the animals to go into the sacrifice. Because there is not description in the Mishnah of a procedure of how to force the animal to make the animal fall down. You're going to see later. Remember, this animal has never worked in nothing. They're exclusively for sacrifice. Pure animals. So he will go there and be familiar with the animals. That's going to be in the gate of Nicanor. This gate. So he will go there. That's where they put the animals. Here in the gate of Nicanor is the name of that gate. So, and then he will make a sword, how you call that? When he, juramento, how you say that? Oath, an oath. That he knows everything, and that he have everything clear, that he's gonna performance everything. He makes an oath in front of the other priest. So after that oath, the Sanhedrin will present the high priest to the court, and then they took him to the Gate of Adventist. The Gate of Adventist was the gate where they start to learn, when they prepare the incense. Okay? The Gate of Adventist is this one, it's the temple. And there was a family that know the recipe for the ketoret or incense for generation to generation. The dor vador, generation. And they prepare the incense in here. So the priest, the priest will come here from there and learn everything and check everything about the incense. He needs to be an expert in all the tasks of every Levite. Okay. So he goes there and starts practicing in the Gate of Adventist, and they start to teach him how they prepare the incense. And he needs to practice how to drop the incense there, because if he drops 1 grain of incense, the service is not kosher. He has to drop all of the grains. No 1 grain of incense can be dropped. Why? You will understand why that later. So, and then he goes and take his bath. So they have to cover him from the paparazzis. He goes there and you know, he'll take his bath and everything. That's the first immersion of that he's gonna do. This is another view.
He does an immersion?
Yes, he does an immersion, and then he washes hands and feet.
So when you say an immersion, does he like, when you say immersion, he goes all the way under the water?
Oh yes, no, yeah.
Is it symbolic?
Huh?
Symbolic?
No, the Torah commanded that they have to wash themselves. That's tevilah for every service. Yeah, yeah, and a mikveh. They go into the mikveh and do the tevilah there.
Right, Tevilah, yeah, right.
Tevilah, yeah, tevilah is the action of going into the mikveh. Okay, so they have like stairs. It goes like this, and you go to the stairs, and the water go like this, chun, 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 and then when you go, the water goes like this. That's how that works. They have. I mean, what happened is the action eventually took the name of the place. The place is the mikveh. The action is tevilah. So now people call it mikveh or tevilah. Mostly people today call it mikveh.
So you're saying it has no connection with baptism?
Yes, it's the same. Yeah.
Okay.
When you read, I think it's Ephesians or Hebrews, Ephesians chapter 6 verse 1, I think, which says the doctrine of baptisms. Hebrews 6, I think, Hebrews 6. The doctrine of baptisms, says Hebrews, not the doctrine of baptism. So there are different kinds of baptisms. So the first one and most important is the baptism in Yeshua for salvation. And then you have different other kinds of purification. Okay? And it depends on the occasion, it depends on the state of the person. If the person has been polluted by something, that is, the person gets polluted according to Leviticus, the person will have to do tevilah and present a sacrifice.
So you're doing that same water?
No, this is a separate water.
Oh, okay.
So, and then he washed his feet. And the tradition, this is how they warm the water, because, you know, the priests, they were aged. So, it sometimes gets cold, and he has to go there from the beginning. So in the morning, or, you know, if it's cold, the water, if it's cold, they will warm the water so he can wash his feet there. And normally he's going to use a silver pitcher to do that. But in Yom Kippur, he will use a golden one to do that. Okay?
So you're saying they provide enough time if he had sinned for them to perform a sacrifice and then to make teshuvah. They build that in.
No, he purified himself there, and then he'll make a confession for his sins before he makes confession for the sins of Israel.
Right.
He has to make confession for his sins, sacrifice a bull, and then make confession for his family.
Right. Right.
Okay? And then make confession for all of Israel. When I say his family, it's the Levites. No. First, confession for him and his close family, like his son, and then confession for the Levites, and then confession for all of Israel. So the first thing that he does is
Another question.
I didn't mean to interrupt with this question, but
you can interrupt.
it's about how with the third temple, how is it? Am I understanding that Israel's going to attempt to do all of this all over again, before there's the end comes in the future?
Yeah, the Jewish people will try to build a temple. They have everything ready now. Everything is ready to build that temple. So some Messianic people say, yes, build it. But there is different opinions because, it's eschatology, it's prophecy. And wherever you have prophecy, you have different opinions. So when the people say, well, they're going to build the temples, me personally, I don't care if they build a temple. The point is, will God accept the sacrifice they're going to perform in there? That's the real question.
Right.
And he won't, right? And he will not, right? Because
I think he will not accept the sacrifice because of the sacrifice of Yeshua.
right.
And based on what I say that, well, Adonai already did it. For 40 years, he didn't accept it.
Right.
After Yeshua died, 40 years,
Scarlet Red.
the Talmud says that. I think it's in Sanhedrin 8b, something like that, 8b. It says that for 40 years, the Lord never accepted the sacrifice of Yom Kippur after Yeshua died. And it's registered in the Talmud. It's very interesting. It's not registered in any Christian document or Messianic. It's registered in the Talmud. So,
With that, it seems to be, he couldn't accept it because if Jesus isn't in their hearts, and if he was in their hearts, they would see it was unnecessary. But how can you accept that their heart is, the high priest's heart wouldn't be pure if he's simultaneously rejecting the Messiah, right?
Yeah,
it's not because of the high priest.
but
It's because there is no need of sacrifice for
what
sin.
she's saying though is that it will be impossible because the high priest
Will not believe in Yeshua.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. I
Either
don't know.
way, yeah, it's not necessary.
Because the
but
book of
also-
Ezekiel talk about sacrifices. How that can be in Yeshua here. It can be whatever Messiah says we will do.
Yeah.
So back to the temple. Do they have a site where they want to build it?
It's,
Where the dome is?
it's right. I personally believe that the Holy of Holies is not where the dome is.
Yeah.
We can speculate, we can
Yeah.
speculate, but I don't think it's in the Dome of the Rock. The Dome of the Rock, I wasn't there, I get inside when I went in Israel, I get inside, the police let us get inside. And you have the mosque, the Dome of the rock there, but besides that is this place, this little dome called Luchot,
Done with the Spirit.
the Dome of the Spirit. Ruchot. I think that's the place because it's right in front of the Lion's Gate, or the Golden Gate. I think is the one in front. The Golden Gate, yeah. So probably that can be the place. Whatever it is, the people in Israel, they know
They know where.
what is it. What happens is if they build that temple now, the only thing they need to put there is an altar. That's it. And that will be WW3. Practically. Just building an altar the size of this table will bring the end of the world like this.
Yes.
Because then they will attack Israel, United States will defend Israel, and then Russia will defend the other one, and boom, 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 and all of them have bottoms. It's a good thing that ours works. But you know what I mean by bottoms, right?
The red buttons.
The red buttons, yes.
They're yellow, but
It's gross, for me it's gross. How the power these people have, all of these countries. They can destroy this planet 3 times. No, that's what they say. So, anyway, the first thing the priest will do, go to do the incense. He will present the offering of this incense. And this censer, all of this is mentioned in Leviticus chapter 16. So that's what he is going to do. Okay? And then, after that, they will open the doors. Open the gates, those songs about open the gates talk about this moment.
Lift up your heads, O ye gates.
Open the gates of the temple. Open the gates. And so they'll have here the priests and Levites playing trumpets and singing and everything. And then people will come, those who get tickets VIP. No, I'm kidding. Those, I don't know which people will get there, probably some Torah students or some people that, you know, the rabbis or the priests said people who deserve to be there because of their behavior or whatever, or the people that get there first. Because in the high feast, people that live outside of Jerusalem, they will send, not all the people in the towns in Jerusalem will have the ability to go to Jerusalem. So what they did, they will send representatives to Jerusalem. So let's say here in this community we cannot go, we send a family. And that family will represent us. And they will go to the feast because the Bible says 3 times in the year all of your males shall present before me. But not everybody were able to go, so they send representatives to Israel. And they will celebrate without sacrifices in these places, in their towns, called Ma'amadot. The Ma'amadot are the beginning of the synagogue. Ma'amadot were the places where they worship besides the temple. I mean, other than the temple, in those places. So they will send those representatives, and the people of Jerusalem will receive them. Welcome. That's what Psalm 118 says. Baruch haba, habaim, welcome. In the name of the Lord we welcome you. And they will welcome them, and then you'll have music, people singing, playing instruments, people dancing, and then you'll see the sacrifices in here. A lot of things. That's what I call an extravagant worship. A lot of things happening at the same time. Okay? Then they will present, they will start with the sacrifices. They'll come with the offerings and sacrifices. In Numbers chapter 29, verse 11 says, you shall present a burnt offering for a pleasing fragrance to God, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 yearling sheep, making sure that all are without blemish. There will also be 1 goat for a sin offering. Okay, so they will present all of these animals, and then the priest will make a confession over the bull. You see the people there. Why do you think the people are fainting? Well, they're not fainting. What happened is he's pronouncing the name of God.
Right. Oh.
And when they pronounce the name of God, all the people get into in their faces in worship. So he will do that. And then they will present the 2 lots. And the priest will take these 2 lots and he will present the 2 lots. If the one that he takes in his right hand says Le Adonai, 1 lot says La Adonai and the other one says La Azazel. Okay, and he put it in this box. And he doesn't see. He goes like this. And if the one that he takes in his right hand says La Adonai, that means that God accepts the sacrifice. If not, means that not. That God is not pleased with that. And what depends on God accepting the sacrifice or not? It has been a good question. I personally believe that it's because if the people of Israel, because all the people of Israel are fasting, and the priest is the only one presenting the sacrifices. I think if all the people of Israel are repenting, from by heart, God will accept here the sacrifice. Because he's the only one that knows the hearts of everyone.
Why did he not accept Cain's sacrifice but accept David's? I've heard it said it's because Abel had blood, you know, with the lamb and stuff. But have you heard another reason for that?
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing. I think it's because of that. Cain, he presented grain offerings and agricultural stuff and everything. But it can be two reasons. Number one, he has to present an animal sacrifice. For that effect, he will have to talk with his brother, present all the produce, and sell it to him and change that for another animal. And he didn't. He just wanted to present his stuff. That's reason number one. The other reason that maybe why God didn't accept the sacrifice is because he can present those offerings that he was presenting, you know, agricultural stuff, but he did it with the wrong intention in his heart. That's why God didn't accept it. So either way, he has the wrong intentions in his heart.
Yeah, I was thinking he didn't give him his best and first, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
I do have a question about this, though.
Yeah.
With the lots, I thought that they casted lots to see which goat
Yeah.
would be for one. But you're
Uh-huh.
saying if it was about God accepting the sacrifice also.
Yeah.
So it's a double purpose of casting the lots?
Yeah, if he accepted the sacrifice, if the priest doesn't have the one that says La Adonai in his right hand, he has to continue with the sacrifice anyways.
He does continue.
Because that's another sign. There is another sign with the crimson wool and everything. So.
And the second goat, the scapegoat.
We're gonna go there.
Okay.
So they present the goats here. So he brings that, and then he brings the goats. He presents them, and then this one will tell what he said. What the Lord says. He says, "La Adonai, priest." Okay. So then he will put that crimson on the goat. The one that says La Adonai, places it on his head. Okay. And then he will put that mark on the goats. I'm sorry, this one. And then he will make another confession. He will make another confession with the other bull there. And right there, he will confess his sins and the sins of his house. And then he will place his hand on the first goat, and he will confess the sins of all the people of Israel. Then he will sacrifice the bull. And this is what I was talking, the Mishnah says. He says, they say that the animal went by itself, right there. He was trained to do that, because you imagine these two guys to put that bull down. So
They train the bull to give up its life like that?
probably they train, if we can call it trained, or probably they can train, because this animal has been with them since the animals were babies, so they would grow up with them, they know,
It wasn't wild.
Can you imagine that probably they were playing with these animals or something to get familiar with the animals, and then I think they have scheduled the animals for sacrifices in order. So what happened when the time comes when his favorite animal will be sacrificed? I think that if there's an animal that they love more, they will not sacrifice the animal, but they use it to all other purposes, to transportation, to transport things in the temple. Because there is a feast, I don't remember which one was, I think it's in Sukkot, where they have to bring water from the tank of Shiloah and take it to the temple, you know, they say, how are we going to bring water? The water needs to be pure. So you know what they do? They use bulls and they use kids. The kids will take the water and they will put the kid on the bull, and the bull will bring the kid with the water to the temple. And these kids are also special. They are being grown up in a special way too. You know, I always, when I read that in the Mishnah, I always wanted to make a movie about those kids. You know, be interesting. And I wanted to put a title, but somebody stole the title from me. No, stole it. I had the same idea, and then I saw this movie, the Children of Heaven. And I said, oh, that was the title for my movie. So, yeah. So then he will take, oh, wait a minute. Okay, he will go there, the priest, take incense from these ashes. Okay, what that incense from those ashes come from? Do you know? From the red heifer. So they will take that, he will take that and bring it, you know, this priest, he will take it, and then he will put that in his hand from that little, how you call this, flower? What this?
Tray shovel?
Yeah, the shovel. And they will place it in his hand, okay? And then he will put that in that thing, in this little jar, I don't know how you call that. Okay.
So they have to put it in his hand first,
Yeah.
and then he puts it in there. They can't just put the shovel into the...
Yeah, and you see the blood, this blood?
Mm-hmm.
This other priest, this one, will be stirring this blood so the blood does not coagulate. He will be stirring all the time. Keeping the blood alive.
Right.
Does it sound familiar?
Yeah.
The living blood. He'll take that, stirring it. All of this has a huge significance in Yeshua. So he will take. So when Yeshua died, you know, the priest, they start to see all of this. They were like, wow, now we understand. Now we understand what was that. So it's believed that the author of Hebrews knew all of this from inside.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Some people say, I think the author of Hebrews is Paul, but we don't have a way to prove it. And I also think that Luke probably has a lot of knowledge of the temple. Probably Luke will be familiar with some of the Levite family or something. Okay, so.
So up to now, the only thing that I saw being sacrificed was the red heifer. So did they have some other bulls? What about the goats?
No, the red heifer. Yeah, this is not the red heifer. That's a goat, a bull that they sacrifice. This is not the red heifer.
Were the goats sacrificed too? All those animals?
Yeah, yeah.
They were all
Yeah.
sacrificed.
One. The goat, just one.
Just one, right? Because there's one that lets. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people said,
One's gonna be the
well,
scapegoat.
some people said that they present the two goats, and when one goat sees that the other one was killed, just run away. But it's not the case. No, they took. We're gonna see how they took away the goat. So he will take that, and this guy will be stirring the blood right there, and then he will take this and take it, burning. We'll take this one, this one, and this one. And he will take it. Right there, the star going up. From now, he will be by himself. Then all of these people will be saying, oh boy, here comes the time. Here we go. You know, because all of their welfare depends on how he does inside.
And you can't spill a drop.
Not one drop.
So wait a minute, stop right there for a second. You said it depends on him, but really it depends on if God accepts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I guess, would they blame him? Would they blame the high priest? Or
If he
what?
has a mistake in the service, yes.
But if he doesn't have a mistake in the service and it's not accepted, then I
I
mean.
think nobody has the right to blame the high priest.
Right,
He's the high priest.
exactly.
He's the boss of all of these guys.
Yeah.
So, if he has a mistake, everybody will be okay. Baruch Hashem. So he goes there. And here's the thing. The curtains of the, let me see if I have a picture of that. No.
Are they
The
thick?
curtains of this,
Are they thick?
they were thick. And the access was, the entrance was like this, like a nest, and then they got in.
Winding.
Could you imagine if this priest would be tied with a rope? All the balagan, the mess with that, you know. Pull him! All the table with the bread, the menorah down, and all these curtains burning. No, there is not such a thing of a rope. That's not in the Bible. That's not in the Mishnah and the Talmud. It's not anywhere. I don't know where the people took that from.
So compare this to the renting of the veil in the temple when Yeshua passed and gave his life on the cross. They said the veil was rent from top to
Yeah.
bottom. So many layers, each one they'd be able to see right into the Holy of Holies if that happened. So it was not just one, but it's multi-layers.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's one like this, you know, they put it like this so the incense will not go out and everything, so it will be more. So could you imagine, well, this is the verse that says when Yeshua, behold, the veil of the temple was torn into two from top to bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were split. Now, could you imagine this scenario here? This guy going there, everything is dark. Of course, in the second temple, first century, we don't have the ark.
Right, yeah.
You know? Yeah, they contracted Indiana Jones to find it, and he's still doing it. He's still working on it. No, at that time they don't have the ark. The ark was taken, you know. And but just imagine the scenario. Everything is dark in there, because in the Holy of Holies, the menorah is not. The menorah is in the holy place, but not in the Holy of Holies. So in the Holy of Holies, you don't have light. The only light he had at that time is the light coming from this that was reflected in the gold of that. And everything dark with incense, you know, with smoke everywhere.
But what about the Shekinah glory that supposedly that was in there? There was never that?
Yeah, Shekinah is not a word that is in the Bible. It's a rabbinical word.
Yeah.
But the glory of God, what do you mean by the glory of?
Because there was the only light that would be from, it would be a miracle for the priest to see, so there was no light in there. He would
No.
just put the
Yeah,
coals on
that's
the
my
right
point.
side.
You know that Hollywood has painted the glory with a lot of light,
Yeah.
but here the most intimate place, holy of the earth, was dark. You know. So it is interesting because those who walk with God, the Lord called us children of light. So it's not talking about a light like this or a light like that. Because in the most intimate place was dark and with incense. It's a different light.
Light of understanding.
I don't know. It's very interesting when you talk about light, because the book of Revelation talk about light in different meanings that the light we see. In Genesis, the first thing God created was light, but it's not the light that you see from the sun. But He created light and then the sun.
Yeah.
So anyway, imagine everything in silence. The only noise, or the only thing that you hear is this noise coming from this.
Yeah.
And he's in the presence of God. So he went there and he'll present that. And then he comes this. He'll have to take the incense and put it in here. The incense from this and put it in here. So he will put this on the floor besides this and pour incense from this to there. And he has to make practice because he has to put it first in his hand and then put this down and then put the incense in there without dropping a grain. Look what Revelation says. Now when he has taken the scroll, the living creatures and the 4 elders down before the Lamb, each having a harp and golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. What that means? That means that every one of these prayers are important in the hands of Messiah. Every one of these prayers, every one of your prayers are important. If he dropped a little bit, will not be kosher. So he has to go there and put all the incense in there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You can say it rather. So, like, since he can't drop any of those little incenses, that means that Yeshua, he doesn't drop even one of our prayers.
Uh-huh.
He drops all of them.
Yeah.
You said that incense is from the burning of the red cow or something?
The incense.
No. The incense not. This,
Oh.
the coals. Coils?
The coals.
The coals. The incense comes from the house of Adventist. It has a special recipe.
Yeah, you can't do
That recipe is prohibited to do it. But in the people of Israel, the Jewish people, it's a rabbinical commandment to memorize the recipe. So everybody knows the recipe, but nobody can do it. Because it's only for the temple. They repeat that every morning in their prayers. It calls the Ketoret prayer. So they repeat this recipe.
But even now they do?
Yeah, every day. So, and the smoke incense prayers the saints incense before God from the angel's hand. So you put this in white. So, then he comes with the incense and asks him, hey, where's the blood? And he takes the blood. Remember the guy with the blood? He will take the blood and go up again to the altar. And do that 7 times up and 1 time down. What that means, I don't have idea. There's a lot of mysterious things in this
So what
service.
is he? Is he going out of the veil and in the veil and out of the veil and in the
Uh-huh.
veil? All the way back to the people, down the stairs, all the way back up. 7 times. Wow.
Is it 7 times?
Yeah, could you imagine if he has a rope? Because he has to go back for the blood. He'll be with that rope.
Yeah, that,
Oh, and
yeah.
then, okay, here's the rope. No. I think I have the source with that I think I found it last year and sent it to a friend of mine, but I don't remember now. But I think it comes from the Zohar or something like that.
Why do they make these things up?
People, I don't know if it's imagination or something, but sadly, it's very common to find stuff like that in the temple.
Could it be the devil?
I don't know. But I have found several things that they created. You know, here's the thing. The Lord gave the Torah to the people of Israel. And the people of Israel, the rabbis and everything, they created fences around the Torah. Commandments of men to protect the commandment of God. And it's a good intention, right? You know, if the Lord gives us a commandment, I put another commandment to protect so the people don't do that commandment. And then comes other rabbi and create another fence to protect the fence that is protecting the commandment. And then come other rabbis to protect the fence to protect the other fence to protect the commandment. And so on. So when Yeshua came, nobody obeys Torah, but they obey all of these fences. And Yeshua says, do not follow that. This is what you have to follow.
Right.
All the time.
Yeah, a perfect example is don't work on the Sabbath, and then they turn in, you can only do so many steps on the Sabbath, and, it's like.
Right.
Yeah, the Eruv.
Washing your
Eruv of Shabbat, ritual of, the exaggeration of Netilat Yadayim. Netilat Yadayim is the washing of hands. Netilat means to raise, because when the priest washes his hand for the service in the lavatory, how you call that in English? Lavatory. He has to raise his hand and wait until the air dries his hand. That's why netilat doesn't mean to wash but to raise. Netilat yadayim. Yadayim are his hands. Yadayim. So at the time of Yeshua, they make an exaggeration. They not only did netilat yadayim, but you have to wash ritual bath of everything that you're going to use in your table, all the plates, everything. And it becomes a headache. So the disciples of Yeshua, they didn't do that. Say, why do disciples eat without washing their hands? Have you heard about COVID? No. So washing their hands. They say, and it's not because they don't have asepsia. No, it's because there was a ritual procedure. They have their hands clean to eat, but not ritually clean. Which has not been commanded in the Torah, was only for the priest. The common people was not commanded for them to do that. Can they do it to respect to God? Yes. To give honor to the Lord? Yes. But do not create a dogma and impose that dogma over other people. That's what Yeshua was against. If you want to do it, good, do it by yourself. But do not try to impose that in other people. That's what Paul told Peter. Even us, we cannot follow those traditions, Peter, and you want to impose that to the people? So they did that. And here's something interesting. You remember that I told you that there was no ark? So they put this stone and they call it the cornerstone. And the book of Matthew says that Yeshua is the cornerstone.
So was it actually a cornerstone of some building previously? Or why is it called cornerstone?
They call it cornerstone because of the prophecy that said he is the cornerstone that the builders had rejected. There's a prophecy or psalm that says that. Isaiah. And Matthew says that Yeshua is that cornerstone. Matthew chapter 21, I got it here. It says, Yeshua, Jesus said to them, have you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected had become the chief cornerstone. This was the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes.
But why cornerstone?
I always thought the cornerstone was like the stone that held the whole building up.
Yeah, the cornerstone is a stone that they used to build, but metaphorically, it's a stone. What is the cornerstone in a building? The stone is the most important stone because the whole structure. It depends. There is a place in Israel to explain that. There is a place in Israel. It's a building, And it's a corner of that building that you can see the different stages of history according to the architecture. For example, the Ottoman Empire, they built arcs of doors like this. Okay, like a little bit pointy but rounded at the same time. And the Roman Empire built it like this. To build those arcs, you need to put a stone in the middle that will hold that pressure. That's the keystone. Okay, so the cornerstone they build. They don't have much. I will not say technology because trust me, the Romans they have really advanced technology to build. It's incredible. And they don't only have imagination to torture people, but to build good buildings. But the expression cornerstone in the builders' language means the most important stone that you put to hold the whole building, you know. So that becomes an expression, you know, like when you say he's the man or he's the cornerstone. I don't know if they use it for normal people, but in the case of the prophecy, it was used for a special person that will hold everything together. Because it's the most important stone that is in the Holy of Holies.
Instead of the ark.
Where they put the ark.
See, the Pharisees rejected
The point, the interesting point is that at the time of Yeshua, the ark wasn't there, so they must have to put this incense over the cornerstone and not over the ark. It's very interesting. This deserves a deeper study, that part. And must not only study biblical but archaeological study. I'm waiting for archaeologically talking for a lot of things to happen. And it's happening. The Lord has been revealed step by step. A friend of mine gave me this subscription to this magazine called Biblical Archaeology, Bible Archaeology. And it's incredible what they have found there. We're close. So this is where I don't know if we're that close, but in these governments, I mean, they have discovered a lot of things that support the Bible. Key verses. So good. For those who need the archaeological proof. And it's good to have proof, archaeological proof. But our faith does not hold in the proof. Our faith holds in the coherence of the Word of God and the personal relationship with Him. Right? So he will go there and then do that, and then he will make a blessing there. And then before he goes, he leaves the sanctuary. The Talmud says that he will make another prayer for rain. Lord, please send us the rain so we can have good crops and everything. Bless your people. Bless your people, Israel. You see, I don't remember which commandment says that. I think it's in Leviticus or Numbers, either one. But the Lord says, if you take care of the Levites, I will take care of your business. Because taking care of the Levites means that they care for the service. They care for worship, and that means that they care for their relationship with God. But the Lord says, if you don't take care of them, I will not take care of you. So that's why the Levites always pray for the economy of Israel. Because he knew that all the economy of Israel holds in the holiness of Israel. You cannot destroy Israel from outside. The only thing that can destroy Israel is sin. Right. Our own sin. Other than that, either the spiritual Israel or the physical one. So when you pray for the army of Israel, pray for the holiness of the army of Israel. You know how many gays are in the army of Israel? A lot. And you know how many messianics are in the army of Israel? 400.
How do you know?
News. Because this news. Yeah, there's ministries in Israel that follow the news and that pray for the messianic military in Israel. They pray for them every day, and, that the Lord support them. And they have been escalating or going up in positions. Like you have very good messianic positions there, very responsible, very respectful people.
I heard the same thing for America, being that our country was founded basically on good. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Israel, but I was hearing that was the strategy of the enemy, is that no one could defeat America from the outside. The only way was to get America to turn on itself and to become.
Yeah, there's one thing. I'm not in agreement that, just to make clear, number one, I don't agree that America is in the Bible or everything that certain passages of the Bible talk about United States. No. Saying that, it's not a secret when you read Deuteronomy that the United States start to apply certain principles and the Lord blesses this country. It's not a secret. It's because of the Judeo-Christian principles that this country practices. It's not a secret. You bless Israel, Adonai blesses you. You start applying the principles, the Lord will bless you. All the principles. No other country treats the strangers like United States. No other army has done, with all of the bad things, because there are no angels, has done what the army of the United States has done. In bringing peace and protecting people, vulnerable people. No other country has done that. With all of the bad things. Okay? So, yes, the Bible doesn't speak about Israel, about the United States. But if you start applying biblical principles, those blessings will come to you because there's a principle there, no matter who you are. But together with the principles, with the blessing, comes responsibilities. If you stop doing it, the consequences will come. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. Deuteronomy Chapter 28 is happening now. So the people say, you're talking about that blessing, those courses are talking about Israel. Yes, I agree. You don't find United States there. But these countries start to practicing those principles and get blessed by the practicing of those principles. Even when Israel was not practicing them. And we got blessed. But the United States stopped doing it. And we're suffering the consequences. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. What's the solution? This is the solution.
Yeah.
People studying Torah, making teshuvah. So this country learns the Torah, commandments of God. The church needs to teach Torah to the congregants.
What is teshuvah?
Repentance. Teshuvah is this.
Okay.
Shuv means return.
That's what teshuvah. Teshuvah.
How are the churches not teaching Torah? What are they?
The enemy. Now I'm going to be agreeing with you. That's the enemy. That's the evil. That's a satanic thing. When it comes, when the doctrine of replacement, the replacement theology came, that's the problem. When they say the law is not anymore, now is the grace. Israel is not anymore, now is the church. John Derby, thinking that he was doing good, he was being used by the enemy. Not even Luther, who was an anti-Semite, was used as bad as John Derby. Luther, Martin Luther from Germany.
Yeah, I know that, but Derby was worse.
Yes, by creating that doctrine of replacement theology. That's John Derby doctrine. He was the one who exported that to Latin America. He taught that to Juan Manuel Lacunza, and Juan Manuel Lacunza took that to South America, and that's the problem that we have right there, right now. When you track the history of the Protestant movement, you will see that everywhere the Protestant movement went, brought blessing to those countries until they start teaching the doctrine of replacement. Because at the beginning of the Protestant movement, it was not doctrine of replacement. They didn't even keep Shabbat. Oh yeah, a lot of Protestants, they kept Shabbat.
Wow.
The pilgrims, when they came here, they kept Shabbat.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have several, not all of them, because of course that comes with the Council of Nicaea in 325, but several people refused to obey that. And I'm not talking the division on Orthodox and Antiochia and you know the Eastern Orthodox Church and the other division that went to the north with Italy and Rome. No, I'm talking about some believers that start keeping Shabbat Saturday. From there comes the Seventh-day Adventists, all of these people.
So their eyes were open and then they started.
Yeah.
Okay, like us.
Yeah, but even the time of the Council of Nicaea, not all of them start following what they declared the Council of Nicaea. Not all of them. What happens? They were not popular because the decision on what to follow in the Council of Nicaea was made by Constantine.
Right, Constantine.
The ones who objected weren't invited to the council, and so they passed it without their disapproval.
Yeah. What happened is he wants to reign over this in his kingdom, and he saw these divisions among the believers of Yeshua. Especially the main division was about the divinity of Yeshua. And he said, well, he took the both parts, you and you. You're going to talk and you're going to fix that problem, the emperor. And they chose a city that was not close to the sea, the Romans. But this Christian, they said, no, you know what? Why we don't go to Nicaea? Nicaea was like Miami or Bahamas, close to the beach. And we can go there and talk. So I say, okay, go there. So they start talking 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and they don't have any agreement, just being there. So the emperor said, you know what? You fix that problem or you don't eat. They fix it the same day. And the Constantine, they say, we have this problem, okay, this is what we're going to do, and he chooses a lot of doctrines that they follow today. And after that comes other doctrines in the next council. Read that story, it's very interesting. Church history. So, he will pray right there. So he said, having boldness to enter the Holy of Holies, blood of Yeshua, by a new and living way, which he consecrated for us through the veil, that is his flesh, having high priest over the house of God. Let us draw near to the true heart of full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from evil conscience. You see, when you see all of these rituals and everything, you understand the New Testament. Okay, now we understand high priest. We understand sprinkle from evil conscience, because the high priest will sprinkle the blood. Okay. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without worrying, for he who promises faithful. And let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works. This is Hebrews. Okay? The main point of Hebrews is a letter that was written to Messianic believers, Jewish believers, and to explain to them why it was necessary that a man and not an animal die for your sins. That's the whole deal. Beautiful book, the book of Hebrews.
Yeah.
Really very deep. So he will go there and sprinkle the curtain, you see, and then he will go in, I think it was 7 times up and 1 time down.
Did he sprinkle any of the instruments like the altar of incense? He didn't know, he sprinkled the curtain and then he went
No,
in.
yes.
Because it was where he was going, everything had to be cleansed.
Yeah,
Where he
but
was
he also take half of that in atonement. For it, take some of the blood of the bull, the blood of the goat, and put it on the horns of the altar. So he has to go and sprinkle the altar, the horns of
Okay,
the
so
altar.
he's doing the incense on the altar.
Yeah, that was the incense. The first thing that he did. Remember, this always has caught my attention. I don't know what that means. To put blood in these horns.
Four corners.
One day, probably.
I don't know.
This is beautiful. The temple have a system that they put the water. You know, there is not directions in the Mishnah and in the Talmud of how to deal with the blood. Because you know the blood, a lot of animal sacrifices, blood will bring flies,
Flies,
disease and all of that. But there is no directions in the Talmud how to deal with that. So they say, what is it?
But they dealt with leprosy and how to tell that.
The what?
They dealt with leprosy, how to deal with whether this is leprous or not, or in a home or in a
Yeah.
hole, and there's nothing but.
Nothing with the temple or the tabernacle. When in the tabernacle, when this was in the sand and the desert, they said that, the Talmud said that the earth swallowed the blood. And it was not nasty things. Well, in the temple, they have a system. They have the blood here and they have water. So, what comes out of the temple was water mixed with blood.
Oh no, yes.
And they don't believe in Yeshua. Every time they want to go far from the Lord, they just got closer. See, so he will remember the goat. He will make the confession over this one, and then outside you'll have the daughters of Siam.
Yeah.
Go to the retreat this weekend.
Cool.
They went out after the sacrifices of Yom Kippur and they start dancing. Here, look at something interesting. The fast, they cut the fast once the sacrifice was finished, not the day. Interesting. Today, we cut the fast when the day is finished, because we don't have sacrifices. But they will eat.
Oh, they eat immediately. Okay.
How is it in the Torah says that day?
Yeah, those who do not observe the fast, well, some translation says those who do not afflict their souls. Okay, and in this day, such and such will happen, will cut off from their people, because in this day, this is the day when atonement is made for you. So the fast was attached to the atonement, to the sacrifice. Once the atonement is done, you don't need to afflict your souls anymore. It's done. It's fini.
Oh, well, that's why the position that now we don't need to fast since the atonement was done.
Yes, but we fast because it's still the commandment. It's the same with the seed. What's the function of this? Remind you the commandments. And what Yeshua said about the Holy Spirit, He will remind you all the commandments. So we have the Holy Spirit. Why we wear tzitzit? Because still a commandment. For respect.
Outside, inside.
Yeah, outside of inside. I use it inside most of the time because safety.
I was thinking outside as compared to inward heart where the spirit is.
You can give whatever interpretation if that helps your faith. But I use them because it's a commandment. That's it. But so they went out and they danced. So all the guys will come and say, "Oh, I may find a wife there." Yeah, that's the purpose of the daughters of Zion. Yeah. So, oh, I'll dance.
Oh,
But
so
actually
those
thinking,
are all
we're going to dance now outside.
So those are all unmarried.
Huh?
Those are all unmarried.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I guess the married was
The virgins and the daughters of Zion.
The married ones probably stayed inside the temple. Only the non-married ones came out and danced, probably.
I would say they were mixed, because you have little kids, virgins, married women, and everything. You see, women that doesn't have the hair cover, or those who are unmarried. So I would say these are the unmarried. These are the married, probably. I don't know. I have found something when I study customs in the first century, customs and traditions in biblical times, that even when we live in another culture and there's a lot of geography and time that separate us from them, centuries and centuries of years, our life is not that different from their life, okay? Because we have the tendency to think that, there was these people out there. No. Other than all the modernity that we have and everything, our lives are not that different. People that laugh and they have fun like us, and they suffer, they cry, and everything. Different context and everything, yes, but it's the same life. So when I was studying, it was beautiful how that concept was removed from my mind. And so I started to see all of these people. As you study the customs, how they lived and everything, in archaeology will help you a lot to discover that. How these people live, how they play, how they make businesses, how, all of these things, you'll realize that, hey, it's similar to what we do today. That we're not that far from them. So I'll say, yeah, the Bible says the daughters of Zion, or the virgins of Jerusalem. Yeah, probably they were not only virgins, but with their moms and the little ones and everything, and all of these people there. So, Zephaniah says, "Sing, O daughters of Zion, child of Israel, be glad and rejoice on your heart, O daughters of Jerusalem. The heart is taken away. The Lord has taken away your judgment. He has cast out your enemy. The King of Israel, the Lord, is in your midst. You shall see disaster no more." Okay? So here it comes to walk the little animal. So they designate a special person, and this person will take Azazel for a walk. Now, there's different opinions here. Who is Azazel? Because the Torah says that one goal will be to Azazel and the other one to Adonai. Le Azazel, le Adonai. Okay?
I heard one of Azazel has something to do with Satan or something like that.
So here's the different opinions. The Talmud says that, the Talmud has two opinions. One is that Azazel was a place. And the other opinion says that Azazel was the animal. Okay? The Septuagint calls Azazel a place, while the Vulgate calls Azazel an animal. The Masoretic text calls Azazel an animal. The Zohar, the mysticism, call Azazel the devil one, Satan. And I think that from there is that they make this Baphomet. Have you heard about the Baphomet? The star of 5 points.
Yes.
That is based on the goat.
Right. Satanic.
So, and they say that is Azazel is Satan because all the sins are upon this animal, and they throw it to Satan, so Satan can be fed on all of those sins. They will eat it. Mysticism is not in the Bible. But interesting. So he will take the animal for a walk. Hey, so here's the temple. And here, interesting. The Mishnah says that they will put stations there. Because this guy is fasting. So if he feels weak or he wants to faint because it's hot, he can come here. He will be able to come here and drink some water and eat something so he can continue. So you see, it is important to fast, but it's not the center of Yom Kippur. Okay? So if you see somebody drinking water and everything, yes, we should not drink water Yom Kippur, but if you want to drink water. Don't be too orthodox on that. And do not judge other people who does it. Okay? If you want to drink a little bit of water, but if you feel dizzy, put a little bit of sugar in your water and drink it. But like I said last night, do not drink that gallon of water, 5 gallons of water, so I don't feel hungry. If you need to drink water, like if you're singing or speaking here, you need to drink a little bit of water. If you go to Israel today and they catch you drinking water, all the ultra-Orthodox will say, "Oh, Yom Kippur, holy day, don't drink water." And those who are not ultra-Orthodox, that are more liberals a little bit, they will be skating on the highways in Israel right now.
What?
Skating. Because the highway is closed. There are no cars right now in Israel. Well, probably at this time they already finished.
Is it officially forbidden?
Yeah, no cars in Israel. No cars. It's empty, so they get accustomed now to take the bicycles and skate and go to the... And Yom Kippur! You know, those who doesn't practice anything, that's what they do. They skate. Other people will be in the synagogues all day long. Other not that Orthodox will be, outside. But most of the people keep this day. Most of the Jewish people. Doesn't matter if they believe or not. For them, this day is like, oh, big deal. Huh? Yeah, but they do it more for sorcery. Like I'll do that so I will have good luck this year, or nothing bad happens to me. Everybody keep Yom Kippur. So all the synagogues are full. So now because of Yom Kippur, all of them are streaming. Doing Yom Kippur and stream in Israel. Interesting. So this guy will take the animal. And he will go there, what is it? Somewhere right there. You see? All of these people will have these torches to communicate. That's how they communicate, send the message to the villages and everything about what happened in the temple. So he will take the animal there. He will dance with the animal a little bit. No, he's not dancing. He'll take the animal. Woo!
Wait a minute, I thought it set free.
That's free.
Free fall.
It's free fall. It's called free fall.
But I didn't think the animal died. I thought the animal was...
Free fall.
I thought he let it out in the wilderness to let it roam.
No. That's a good question. But some people said that that was given to Azazel, that was taken to the desert.
Right.
Okay? And some people will say, well, no, because if they take the animal to the desert, the animal will come back. I'll say, no, he already saw how they killed the other animal. Trust me, he will not come back to the temple. But could you imagine all of these goats around nowhere? No, I think this interpretation from the Talmud is more accurate. They have to kill it or, throw it. But this is what the Mishnah says. So I don't know. To throw him like this?
I read Isaiah 61.
He got out.
Yeah, at one point they were trying to grab him.
It wasn't his time.
It was several times they tried to kill him.
When he was in the temple and he was reading from Isaiah,
61.
fulfilled today.
in front of here,
Because
and
we
they were
read
like,
part of it, there was
and
no
they tried to
chapters
grab
or
him and tried to
verse,
take him and throw him off the cliff.
It
But
says that. It says off the cliff.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But it wasn't
I
his
didn't
time,
pay attention
and
to
he
that.
just disappeared amongst them. He
It's
just
where-
walked away, and
Yeah.
they didn't see him
They,
walk
they
away.
point the hill out on the tour.
Yeah, where they wanted to throw him.
Yeah, well, because he preached the acceptable year of the Lord, but not the day of vengeance, which was the next part. And since he didn't do it, they didn't like that.
Yeah, every time they get like that, it's because he says, "I'm the Messiah." Period.
Yeah.
You know, and for them was a big deal.
It's his second coming, hasn't been.
So he throw the animal there, and then he come back, and the people will be reading the scriptures. If that was a Shemitah, they will be reading the whole Torah. Every 7 years they have to read the whole Torah.
In one day?
Huh?
In one day?
In one day, in Yom Kippur.
Wow.
So the tradition said they didn't read the whole Torah, but the book of Deuteronomy, which is the Mishnah Torah. Mishneh Torah is the repetition of the Torah. You know, the book of Deuteronomy is the summary of the other books.
They read that.
The summary of Leviticus in Numbers, mostly. Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. The book of Deuteronomy.
So they read Deuteronomy on this day, but I thought it was read at Sukkot.
That was what?
Yeah, I thought Deuteronomy was read at Sukkot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, in Sukkot. If it's Shemitah, they will read it, but they will be studying the Torah in Yom Kippur. But in Sukkot, the last day of Sukkot, or I don't remember it was the last day of Sukkot or Yom Kippur. Let me check that. Let me check that. I think that was I think it was in Yom Kippur. Because they have to read it the 7th year and then declare Shemitah on Yom Kippur.
Ah.
If I'm wrong, you give me a prize. And if I'm right, I win. I don't have internet yet.
On your notes here it says they just read Leviticus 16.
Okay, with all of the procedures.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's a Shemitah, they have to read the whole Torah.
Wow.
That's why we read the Bible every Shabbat, the Torah every Shabbat, so we don't have to read it every 7 years once, the whole Torah. At that time, they have a cycle of 3 years. Today is just 1 year. There's some communities that practice the 3-year cycle of reading of the Torah. But the reading of the Torah on Shabbat has its ground in the commandments of reading the Torah in the fall festivals every 7 years. So he will read the Torah. They will have a study right there with all the people, and then can you help me there to change that, please? And then he will take the ashes. Let me see. No, that's not the one.
Earlier you spoke about the ashes of the red heifers. What's done with all the ashes of the sacrifices on that day?
They will dispose that.
One of the priests has to take it outside.
Yeah, they have to change first and then take it outside. They will here. They will burn the bull and the goat that they sacrificed. They will burn it outside the temple. And this is what I want to show you, Hebrews. Therefore, Yeshua, Jesus also, he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered outside the gate. Therefore, let us go forth to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. What outside? What he's gonna? The priest gonna burn there? The goat, the bull. The bull was the sacrifice for the sin of whom? The high priest and the Levites, and the goat for the sins of all of Israel. So he will burn that outside the camp. That's why the expression in Hebrew says the same way Yeshua, who pays for the priest and for all Israel was burned, was died outside.
So, but the killing of the animals happened in the temple, and then the dead animal was dragged outside.
And burned in there. Arrastraron para afuera.
I heard that the blood of Yeshua, like where the cross was above the holy or something. People say that.
No,
And the church ends up being messy or something.
no. There is a story. I honestly, I don't believe that. But there is a story. The guy found the ark, and the ark was under where Yeshua was sacrificed. So the blood of Yeshua was dripping over the ark.
Jeremiah's book.
So there's no way of knowing.
Yeah, but I don't know. I find hard to believe that, honestly.
Ron White.
Ron White, yeah.
Yeah.
People just wanting it to be true.
Yeah, but you don't need to elaborate such a story to make the principle of the sacrifice of Yeshua to be true. Just with the gospel and the prophets and the Torah, you prove it. That's it.
When you anointed the ark, which side of the ark were you always supposed to put it on? There was a left and a right side. So,
I don't know.
because there's,
Which sides of the ark?
yeah, there was always a certain side they were supposed to anoint the ark. If they were facing it, it's always here. So if it's actually the throne of God, or in the Holy of Holies, it's a throne where he sits. If you're sitting, and if he's gonna go and place it on the left-hand side with his own blood, then when you're sitting on the throne, it would be the right side if you're sitting. And then who's at the right hand of God is,
The ark. When you're talking about the ark,
yeah, I'm talking about the ark.
what happened is the ark. The commandment says that the priest has to put a caporet, means covering. So he has to put the blood over the covering of the ark, or the mercy seat, you know. And the ark was like this, with two poles like this, right?
Right.
So if you want to put blood in there, from here will be too not comfortable because of the poles. It will be easier to come this. And if you come to this side, either side looks the same.
Right.
But the angels were like this, you know. So either side looks the same. For me, I don't understand the point, because it's the same. Doesn't matter what side they put it, because when they transport the ark, maybe they have a way to do it, but we don't have documents that prove that. You know, the Levites, they didn't lift something, you know, that's talking about the tabernacle. In the temple, we have what the Mishnah records about the temple. And this is what we have, but I have not read nothing about the ark. Probably they have some specifications right there in the Temple Institute. But this is a book that I bought in the Temple Institute, all of these pictures. But in Jerusalem. And when you go to the Temple Institute in Jerusalem, it's a little house. It's a small house right there. Yes, a little house. Everything in Israel, when you go, Mount Zion, it's a little hill there. You know? And you know what is beautiful? That if you come from Everest to Jerusalem, you say, I'm going up to Jerusalem. That's a beautiful expression, right? It's not about how big the mountain is, it's how important it is. Okay. So then they go and they wash the clothes of the priest. I'm sorry, no, they don't wash the clothes of the priest because the laundry that day was broken. But no, they will take these clothes and they will make torches. Torches for the last day of Sukkot. With those clothes, they start these big, huge menorahs in Sukkot, and this from these torches it went. It's interesting because Zechariah says now Joshua, or Yeshua, was clothed with fifthly garments and was standing before the angel, and the answer and spoke to those who stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garment from him. And to him he says, see, I have removed your iniquity from you, and I will clothe you with rich robes. So he will come with new robes and will invite all of those who participated and all of those special guests or whatever to a banquet. And after that, when the day ends, okay, this is he sent out the servants saying, "Tell those who are going to ride, I see and prepare a dinner in my house, and whoever God will kill, these already come to the wedding." Okay. Then at the end, they will have what they call the neilah, the closing of the doors. And it says, "Seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And he return to the Lord, and he will have mercy on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord." And they will close the doors. "And behold, I'm coming quickly, and my reward is with me, to give to everyone according to his work." See you at 5:30 p.m.
Is there any truth about them tying the crimson ribbon on the door and then after Yeshua died that they turned white?
No, we don't have a register of that.
Oh, what?
In the Talmud, we don't have register of that, but it's suspicious because the registration that we have from the book of Matthew about the curtain, we have that one, the book of Matthew. And trust me, Matthew, the Gospels. The Gospels are really reliable historical sources.
Right, right.
Okay, but with the crimson, we don't have any register.
You said it was.
But we
before
have
they
a
never
registration
turned.
from the Talmud about the lots. Those lots? It says never. Well, I think. No, I have not found anything about the crimson. I think there was no registration about that.
But I remember you said in the past that since Yeshua, God never accepted sacrifice.
Yeah, the Talmud says that, but that's because of the lots, those lots.
Oh, right, right.
Oh.
The two lots, La Azazel, Adonai.
Uh-huh.
But not the crimson. We don't have nothing registered about the crimson. Because some people say that was a tradition, other people say that was a story, that they don't know if that really happened at that time in the first century. But for sure the lots, it happened because it's a commandment in the Torah. And the Talmud says that. It is interesting how they kept that in the Talmud. You know, it's like give the enemy the sword to because it's there. That's from God. For me, that's a miracle that the Jewish people kept that in the Talmud. And since the time Yeshua died, they never accepted, and they give the date and everything.
They don't say when Yeshua died. They just give
Of
the
course
date.
not, but we get to the conclusion because of the date, you know. From the year 33 or 30, they didn't see from the year 33 because Yeshua was born 3 years before Christ. Yeah, it is what it is. It's like that.
Right, right.
So Yeshua was born 3 years before the history registered where he was born, 3 years before Christ, and it is like that. So when you say year 33, probably was the year 30. It was actually the year 33 where it was registered as year 30, and that's what the Talmud says. After year 30, for 40 years, until the destruction of this temple was in the year 70. You know, 30 plus 40, 70.
So that God never accepted from that day to every year until it was destroyed.
Never accept the sacrifices for sin in Yom Kippur.
Not quite 30 years.
Every year, for 40 years, the Lord says, no, 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 no. What tells you that He's going to accept it today or in these years, this time? I don't think so. Why? For 40 years, He says no. 40 years. Only for 3 years will be a witness, but 40 years.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and God says, no, 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 no.
Eventually he says, okay, it's destroyed now, stop.
Sorry?
But then up until the point it's destroyed, it's like, stop doing it, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah, well,
enough.
the temple was destroyed, you know. If not, they will be performing sacrifices until today. But Yeshua prophesied that this temple will be destroyed.
But he talked about his own body.
Huh?
He said that this stone, there will be one stone left on
No, he talked about his own body,
Another one, okay.
but when he was walking with his disciples, the disciple was like, whoa, look. Yeshua said, oh, don't worry about it. It will be no stone over stone. And that's actually what happened. What remains today is just the wall around the temple, not the temple itself.
And this temple
The foundation of the, yeah.
will be rebuilt. It's his body.